We found another one. Really is called the City of Fountains for a reason. Morning everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Explore series. Today we're in the heart of Provence, Aix-en-Provence, just outside of Marseille. This city is called the City of Fountains, so I thought a cool way to explore this city is to go and find as many of those fountains as we can. We're going to start from the biggest and most famous one of all, but along the way we're going to see plenty of fountains. Hopefully we're going to see about 7 official ones. Let's go. Like this one, just randomly on a corner. How beautiful is that? Next to the St. James pub. So my apartment that I'm staying at this week is in the old town of Aix-en-Provence, and as I've told you before, European cities obviously are very old, much older than cities in South Africa or the US. And as such, they all have an old town where the city started and then grew out from here to the modern city that it is today. But this is Aix-en-Provence Old Town. Another one. Really is called the City of Fountains for a reason. They're everywhere. So let's start where it all begins on this fountain hunting tour exploring Aix-en-Provence. La Rotonde. This is the centerpiece of the fountains of Aix-en-Provence, and it's also one of the biggest features of this city. If you see the city advertised anywhere, you're going to see this, and that's why, because it's grand, it's massive, it's a roundabout in the heart of the city. On the one side, the new city, on the other side, the old city. This is La Rotonde. So as we said before, Aix is called the City of Fountains. But why are there so many fountains here in Aix? Well, the name of Aix-en-Provence comes from the Roman word Aquae Sextiae, which means the waters of Sextius. Romans founded the city in 122 BC because of its natural thermal springs and abundant fresh water sources. They're essential to infrastructure, drinking water, washing, cooling the city, showing civic pride. By the 19th century, the fountains have become a symbol of prestige and beauty. At the top of the fountain, you can see 3 female statues. They each represent a value of Aix. One is for justice, facing the courthouse, agriculture, symbolizing the province's fertile farmland, and there is plenty of that, and fine arts, celebrating the culture and creativity. The fountain is about 32 meters in diameter, designed by architect Théophile de Tonadre, built using water from local canals and springs, and it was originally surrounded by carriages, and today has been replaced with traffic. So as we leave the centerpiece of Aix-en-Provence, we head down this way according to our treasure hunt for statues. If we go this way, we're going to find our second statue, equally impressive. What is impressive though is that this area on Sunday will be the finish line for an Ironman race. They'll run around La Rotonde and finish here. Okay, so our treasure hunt map tells us that if we walk along this road, we should get to our next fountain, which is called Fontaine des Neuf Canons, which I think means 9 cannons. Although this one is very, very special, very different. Not like the grandeur you just saw there. Wait, I'll show you. So this is Fountain des Neuf Canons. I realize my pronunciation of that is probably pretty pathetic, but very different, as you can see. I'm trying not to get run over here as the Tesla goes past. But isn't it the most unique fountain you could have seen? And it's located on the elegant boulevard, coming up from down there where the La Rotonde is to here. It's beautiful. So we've only just started this adventure and we've already seen 4 fountains, 2 while we were walking to the starting point at La Rotonde. But this is the 9 Cannons, Fountain of 9 Cannons. Not sure why it's called that, but I will tell you that fountains here in Aix weren't for decoration, they were for drinking water centuries ago. Basically, the natural canals that flowed were used to create these fountains, and that the people that lived here, if they were thirsty, just visit a fountain. Practical. So we're talking about Course Mirabeau, the sort of main road that separates Old Town from New Town. This is Course Mirabeau here. So, according to the treasure map, if we walk a little further along this road, we'll get to the next one. The name of the next one, forgive me if I get this wrong, Fontaine Mossue, or Mosse. I can never get these French words correct. Can say Tommy Hilfiger. Okay guys, fountain number 3 officially, although it's the 5th one we found today, is this one, which is Fontaine Mousse, spelled M-O-U-S-S-U-E. Not sure how that works, but as you can tell, it's very similar to the one that we saw just down that way. This is fountain number 4. A rolling stone gathers no moss. Wow, this one certainly has. So with fountain number 3 behind us, we press onwards and upwards along this historic road, Course Mirabeau, which of course is the main road through Aix-en-Provence that separates Old Town and New Town from each other. Old Town that way, which is the region that I'm staying in for the past couple of days. It's really beautiful. But while we're hunting down our next fountain, I just want to just show you some of the buildings. It really is beautiful. All right, little sidetrack there. The hunt continues. It says we go this way, I think. Let's see. I was going to set myself a challenge on finding 5 fountains in 10 minutes. As a little side challenge, but let's be honest, I think you can find 5 fountains in like 2 minutes. So hidden just a few steps off the busy shopping streets, the Place d'Arbitrage feels like you accidentally opened a secret door. The fountain, which is not very fountainy today unfortunately, is at the center. It's not the biggest or most famous in town, but it might be the most cinematic. The square and the fountain were created in the 18th century by the powerful Jean-Baptiste d'Arbitrage, a wealthy provincial aristocrat and president of the Court of Auditors for the province. The family redesigned the space around 1745 and 1746, creating a perfectly balanced square that you can see here. So, from the Place d'Arbitrage, the square that was designed by an aristocratic family to be perfect and balanced, let's continue the hunt. This is number 4, so essentially there are 3 more major fountains to go. when I booked my stay here in Aix for a couple of days before moving to the race hotel, I did have a look at the Hotel de Ville, and for 3 nights at the Hotel de Ville I would only have to pay around 11,000 rand. Over 200 fountains, as we said at the start of this video, and we've just discovered another one next to the Hotel de Ville, which is behind me. Very expensive hotel, but a great place to stay. Europe is very well known for its squares, and of course where there is a square, often there is a fountain. Here in Aix, though, they take that to the next limit with these beautiful fountains located everywhere. I mean, this is historic, it's beautiful, and it's a great way to see the city, hunting the fountains. So in France they have cafe culture, not to be confused with the Italian coffee culture, which is the quick espresso and on the way. In France they like to sit down and savor a cappuccino or latte or something cool like that. And that is what we're going to do after we find our next fountain. Have a little break, find a cafe, get some coffee. Along the way of hunting down those amazing fountains, we come across some really beautiful buildings. This is the Provence Cathedral, named after the saint. It's absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. So we got a little bit lost. I went walking off in the wrong direction. But at least I found a cathedral though. That's pretty cool. Okay, so Old Town means very small roads, and that is a tight squeeze. Oh, magnifique. Okay, so we got lost. Went completely the wrong direction. We're now on our way to the Fountain of the Four Dolphins, I think. But I walked miles in the wrong direction, about 1 kilometer in the wrong direction. But at least we got to see a very cool cathedral. That's what Explore's all about. Oh, that's what I'm telling myself. So I've been coming to Aix-en-Provence, I think this is year number 5 for me, and I've seen more in the last 2 hours of walking around than I have in 4 previous years of being here. It's wild, it's absolutely insane. Because a lot of times when we work in cities, we basically see the airport, the hotel and the race village and the finish line, and we don't ever take the time to explore. That's why I started this series, because I was like, hang on, there's a lot to see, let's go and see it. Talk about things to see. We have finally found our next fountain after walking off in completely the wrong direction. This is the Fountain of the Four Dolphins. Le Fountain Quatre Dauphins. Okay, so here we are. This is the Fountain of the Four Dolphins, which was completed in 1667, would you believe? And it is designed by Jean-Claude Rimbaud. The architect that designed it. It's in the Baroque style, and they used stone to create it. So it was commissioned way back when in the 17th century, and its design and symbolism feature 4 dolphins arranged back to back with their tails intertwined, spouting water into a circular basin. It's the Fountain of the Four Dolphins. Okay, so that's 6 out of the 7 fountains that we were looking for. There's 1 more to go before we head back. I'm going to find a coffee though. It's time for a coffee stop. And also before we do that, there's a cathedral just over there. I really want to go look at it. Let's go. Okay, it's not quite a fountain, but well, I suppose it is a fountain. Drinking water, although it is non-potable. Have a look at that cathedral, guys. Place Saint-Jean-de-Mault. Restored in April of 2009. done a good job. Okay, this is a fountain hunt, not a cathedral hunt. Let's push on and go to our final fountain, which is royal. It's royalty in France. I thought they didn't like royalty, but we'll find out. We're on the way to the royal fountain of King Rene, and that's where we'll wrap it up. But first, coffee, please. Okay, I think we found it. We're gonna have some coffee. Let's go. Early on we were talking about the difference between Italian coffee culture, which is about that quick espresso that the guys have in the morning and then they head out off into work. Here in France, it's about cafe culture, which is more about sitting down, relaxing and enjoying cappuccino. Yeah. Okay, so while we enjoy a coffee, let's talk a little bit about the history of Aix-en-Provence. Aix began in 122 BC, to give you an idea of how old the city is. When the Romans founded their settlement, they called Aquae Sextiae, which we've already spoken about, named after its thermal springs in the region. Those springs are why Aix is known today as the city of 1,000 fountains, more like 200 in the city itself. During the Middle Ages, Aix became the capital of Provence, extracting merchants, scholars and noble families who filled the town with elegant mansions and lively squares. By the 1600s and 1700s, the city transformed into the refined place we see it as today. Wide boulevards like Cours Mirabeau were created, lined with fountains, cafés and grand homes. Aix later inspired artists, like most famously the painter Paul Cézanne, who we've spoken about in the video before, who grew up here and turned the surrounding landscape into some of the most famous artworks in history. Aix is the kind of place you want to take your time to visit. As I say, I've been here 5 times already, and this is the first time that I've actually walked around and seen the beauty of the old city and a new city that are combined into one beautiful place in France. If you ever have the chance to come and visit France, I would highly suggest coming to Aix-en-Provence. Welcome to fountain number 7. This is the Fontaine du Roi René, celebrated as one of the province's most beloved historical figures. King René was known as Le Bon Roi René, or the Good King. René ruled the province in the 15th century and made Aix his cultural capital. Unlike many rulers, he was known less for wars and more for supporting artists and poets, encouraging agriculture and trade and bringing prosperity and refinement to the region. Locals remember him as gentle and a cultured ruler who helped shape the province's identity. More about the fountain. It was installed in 1819. It is located at the eastern end of Cours Mirabeau, the main road we were talking about, and designed during a period when Aix was celebrating its historic heritage through public monuments. Statue shows King René holding a bunch of grapes, symbolizing Provence's vineyards and agricultural wealth. This isn't just a fountain. It's Aix saying thank you to a king who turned the city into the center of art, culture, and good living. So that is our fountain hunting for today. There were 7 main fountains we wanted to get on the tour. We got all 7. Plus we bumped into a whole bunch more. We have a fountain count on the screen that shows how many fountains we've come across. But I must say, over 200 in the city itself and over 2,000 in the region. It's amazing. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Explore. I wanted to give it a slightly different feel as opposed to just walking around. And when I heard the city was called the City of Fountains, I thought, well, that's a great angle to show you off this beautiful, beautiful city. Cobblestone streets, narrow streets in the old town, but right next door to it, the new town that is absolutely modern and with lots of culture and character. There's a little bit of magic every turn here in Aix-en-Provence. Thanks so much for watching the video. If you liked what you saw, please give the video a like and a share. And if you haven't already, please would you consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps with the algorithm and helps get us out there so that more people can come across the content. Don't do this for the money, do this for the fun. I get to travel for work, so whenever I travel, I like to grab the camera and go and explore. Thanks for coming along for the journey. See you next time.